We are joined now by our friend, data guru Ryan Girdusky. He's a part of the Clay and Buck podcast network. And I know we're about halfway through the day right now, Ryan. So I'm going to lay out some things. You tell me if you would sign on to these and or what you are seeing. If Ciattarelli is going to win in New Jersey, Republicans have to turn out in huge numbers today because he's down around 250 or so thousand votes, it appears, based on early voting and the mail ballots, absentees. Virginia is looking bad for Winsome Sears, but Jason Miyares, the attorney general, is in a tight race and has a decent chance. Lieutenant governor is going to be competitive there. And it looks like Mamdani is going to win and potentially win with more than 50% of the vote. Do you sign on to any of those takes? Am I wrong? How would you assess where we are?
No, you're pretty on the money. I mean, New Jersey's reporting county by county, so it's very difficult for me to get a real estimate. Remember, Ciattarelli, who only lost by 80,000 votes in 2021, he lost election day Republican versus Democrat turnout, right? There were more Democrats turn on election day in 2021 than Republicans, but he won independents by such a large margin, it overwhelmed whatever Democrat turnout looked like. He won election day by a little over 200,000 votes. Right now, it's looking like one thing that's pretty surprising is how many people in Mikey Sherrill's district are voting right now. She has tremendous turnout out of her districts as of noon today. Not all of the counties are reporting. A lot of the big Republican counties have yet to report. Some of the other big Republican counties have reported, but definitely Mikey Sherrill's district is definitely showing up in full force. Presumably for her, it's a pretty safe Democratic district. Over in Virginia, what I've sat there and seen right now is there's a Republican counties are kind of in a mix right now. There's counties like Caroline County, Greene County, Norton County, which are doing fairly well. They're coming up in pretty large numbers, but also at the same exact time, there's other super big Republican counties like Appomattox and Buchanan, which are having horrendous turnout. So Republicans are making up some of the best turnout counties and some of the worst at the same exact time. Places like Alexandria, Fairfax, they're about 50% of their 2024 election day as of right now, 55 to 60. New York City is going to have the largest turnout in mayoral history. We're easily going to blow past, I think, 2 million votes. I think it's pretty safe to say. Largest election ever was in 1993 rather, for Giuliani. That was 1.8 million. This is going to be at least 2 million. Tremendously high turnout. And places like the Bronx, which had not voted at all on before Election Day, horrendous voting before Election Day, had tremendously high turnout.
So, Ryan, in the New York race, the thing that you hear about constantly from the Mamdani camp is just variations on cost of living and how Mamdani says he's going to bring those costs down. This is, as far as I'm concerned, like fairy tale stuff, but put that aside for a second. Is it a similar situation in New Jersey? What are the biggest things that are at issue that are actually mobilizing voters and that could make the difference here in turnout when you look at the issues between Sherrill and Ciattarelli?
Well, the biggest issue, and I cover this on the Numbers Game podcast for a whole episode, one of the biggest issues in both Virginia and New Jersey are electric prices. Electric prices are through the roof. 2/3 of electric price increases, according to CNN, were because, not that that's a reliable source, but 2/3 of the increased cost was because of...
Dory, every time you mention CNN on our show, Ryan, we play a little boo in the podcast track.
Well, I think the article was good, but a tremendous amount is the data centers and data centers that are popping up everywhere, and how the increased costs are coming in states like that. That's a big thing. What happened in New Jersey and what happened in Virginia is that Democrats tried to nationalize it, right? Make the whole election about Donald Trump and say a vote for me is a vote against Trump. Even Jay Jones is doing that as attorney in the attorney general race. It was Trump all day, all night. Ciattarelli's talked a lot about, cost of living, how to be effective, an effective administrator. That I don't know what's moving numbers right now. Democrat numbers are fairly strong in a number of places. But numbers are strong, by the way, everywhere. I'm looking at races across the country. There's an election in Miami going on right now. Democrat turnout is gigantic right now in Miami. The race elections in Pennsylvania, there's lines around the corner in Pittsburgh to go vote. This is probably one of the highest turnout elections in off non-primary, non-presidential, non-midterm years probably ever.
What's the impact, if anything, of Trump saying Cuomo should be your vote? Sliwa can't win. He waited till the night before the election. There's been arguments that it actually helps Mamdani. At this point, does it have any impact? And prediction from you, do you think that Mamdani is likely to get over 50%, in which case all the talk about Sliwa versus Cuomo versus Eric Adams may not end up having mattered, because if he gets over half the vote, then it doesn't matter how much split vote there was?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not helpful for Trump to weigh in because he's so disliked by 2/3 of New Yorkers. 33% love him or like him, and 2/3 can't stand him in New York. And I don't think that it's necessarily helpful to Cuomo. I think Curtis Sliwa could have done not only more for himself by teaming up with Cuomo, but also helping the Republicans running down ballot in New York City, which is going to be tremendously important if Mamdani becomes mayor. Can he win? Can he win by 50%? I don't know, and I don't like to predict that. I don't like to make predictions that I know I can't, come true on. But here's what I'll sit there and say. You know who's looking at this election more than anybody is AOC. Because everyone kind of sat there and said, Mamdani has a ceiling. Mamdani has a ceiling. He got so and so many votes in the primary. He can't possibly get more than 1 million votes in a 2 million person election in the general. If there's no ceiling on socialism, AOC is going to look at that and say, okay, it's my time to shine. I'm running for president. And it's not a joke when you say, yes, New York City is not reflective of the entire country, but there's a big chunk of that base in the Democratic primary that sits there and says, no, there's no cap on socialism. Let's go completely full-fledged on this. And then it's just a race to the left of who can get there first, especially in economic issues.
Ryan, on the Virginia side of things, it's not looking good from everything that we've seen, and we talked to you about this in the early voting stage a bit. Winsome Sears, was this just not a race she could win because of the political realities of the state of Virginia right now and the enormous weight that really the suburbs of D.C., which is like Fairfax County and Nova, all those different areas of it, basically, was this not her fault? Or I don't remember a single thing coming from her side of the campaign. Plenty of things coming from the Spanberger that I didn't like, but I was certainly hearing about. But Winsome Sears, I didn't even hear what she was standing for.
She said one thing and one thing only: I will stop transgender bathrooms from happening in Virginia. She said it every single day. That was the only issue she ran on. Look, I'm not here to trash someone who's still, the votes are still yet to be counted, but I'll say so. Winsome Sears, she's doing significantly worse than both the candidate for lieutenant governor and AG. And even before the scandal, she was doing worse than the AG candidate. It's not like she's an unknown person. She's the lieutenant governor currently. She raised a ton of money. She wasn't starving for cash. She ran on only one issue, which was transgender stuff. I'm not saying it's not great for Republicans. It's a winning issue.
But she needed more than that, it sounds like, assuming that the polls are accurate so far, that alone is not going to propel her to the governor's mansion.
It's just not the most important. It was the only thing she talked about. She didn't talk about anything. And then when she was asked about specifically data centers, because electricity prices are increasing throughout Virginia, she sat there and said, well, they're here to stay and I'm building more of them. And it was very, very, very unpopular. Her original campaign team had a lot to be desired. I talked to a lot of people running down ballot. They did not like what she was doing. And she's not just losing today like the lieutenant governor, who's just a generic Republican. No one really knows a lot about him. He had no money. She's losing worse than him. And it says a lot more about her. It's a bad year. It's a bad year. You lose, you lose. But when you're losing worse than somebody with no money, no name ID, and that's just a generic Republican, that's pretty much on you.
Okay, to what extent do you believe there is any predictive value in these elections as we look toward next year's elections, which have far more consequential stakes?
I think that it looks like, Democrats are voting like it's a presidential election. I mean, that's just the truth of it. They're voting in early elections and like presidentials. Some of these counties I'm looking at in New Jersey, where it was 5-1 in 2020, like blue counties, 5-1 Democrat in 2021, it's looking like 8 or 9-1 Democrat right now. Just Democrat turnout is through the roof in some of these places, especially these white college-educated areas, and they are voting like it's a presidential election. Republicans really need to wake up if they think, even with all this gerrymandering that they're doing and things that are working in their favor, if they think they can win on that alone, they cannot when it comes to this kind of turnout. The turnout is immense, and Republicans need to match it in a significant way and really need to have answers on certain things in the economy, which I think are really pressing people's questions on quality of life.
So any last-minute thoughts for how you think New York is going to go specifically, Ryan, as the votes are coming in right now? Is a Cuomo, this is really what I'm leaning toward, is a last-minute Cuomo miracle in the cards, or have you already written this off?
I mean, listen, I'm not writing anything off. I just sit there and say this. Cuomo needed to do one major thing, give Republicans a reason to vote for him, and he never did. And that is Cuomo's biggest mistake in this general election. In the primary, he didn't do anything right. But in the general, he needed the hundreds of thousands of Trump voters in the city of New York who could sit there and flip an election to say I'm going to vote for Cuomo because he's going to do X, Y, and Z. He's going to support the problem solvers, the Common Sense Caucus, which is Republicans and Democrats in the city council. I'm going to do this on crime. I apologize for COVID. I apologize for bail reform. I'm going to be the guy for everybody now. I'm going to rise above this. And he never did. He only stuck to Democratic politics, and it makes me think.
Is he just kind of a buffoon? I'm shocked at how inept he has been, Ryan. Honestly, like for a guy who was the governor, it's like he's like the who's the little blonde-haired sort of idiot king in the beginning of Game of Thrones? Joffrey. He's like a little Italian version of Joffrey.
Also, by the way,
version of Joffrey.
Italian, but also. Mamdani has so many vulnerabilities. Like, it's not as if he's got a, coat of armor on. To Buck's point, it just feels like a super incompetent campaign.
It's super incompetent. And you know what? I had a dinner with I never said this to anybody before. I had a dinner with one of Cuomo's advisors. And we're sitting there, and, I run the 1776 Project PAC, and we're doing well. We have got some money. And he said, "Would your PAC donate $100,000 to the Cuomo campaign?" I go, "You don't have a money problem. You have a candidate problem. All the money in the world's not going to fix that. I give Republicans a reason to vote for you, and they just wouldn't." And you know what? I looked at his entire electoral history. He never had a competitive primary one time in his entire life. He never had a competitive general one time in his entire life. And I think that probably speaks to
it's amazing. He's just not a good he's just not a good politician is actually what has been exposed in all this, meaning he's not even good at pretending to be good at things. So that's disconcerting, absolutely. But yeah. All right, Ryan Girdusky, everybody.
More like we're going to blow past the 20. We might hit 2024 general election numbers.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy turnout.
It's nuts.
Wild.
Nuts.
Go check out everybody. It's a numbers game on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. Great podcast. Ryan breaks down all of the data. He knows the players. He knows the numbers. You'll learn a lot. You'll impress all your lib friends, all your Mamdani voters next door. Be like, well, only 30% of 20% think that Mamdani's a communist 100% of the time. Thanks for being with us, Ryan.
Thank you.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise. It has been the past couple of years, but this year especially, not just around the world, but unfortunately here at home in America. Jewish schools have been targeted. Synagogues are threatened. Silence is not an option. This is the moment to take a stand. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the front lines, providing real help where it's needed most. They're giving food and shelter to Jewish families that feel under threat. They're helping survivors of hate rebuild their lives, and they don't just respond to crisis. They work every day to prevent it. Your gift of only $45 will help support their life-saving work by providing food, shelter, and much more. Support the IFCJ. It's a spiritual stand to take. Call 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-4325, or go online to ifcj.org, ifcj.org. Every dollar helps. Don't wait. Be the difference.